Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. Well, welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, I have an extra special guest. Today, I have the co-founders of Sister Compass, Tiffany Grosso and Jen Sheridan. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, Amanda.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having us.
We're so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have the two of you on. This is the first time for me having two guest speakers in one, so this is going to be awesome. I'm excited for our audience to get to know you a little bit better. So would you mind maybe sharing with us a little bit about what Sister Compass is, what it's all about?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we're going in deep right away. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you mind if I go ahead and start, Jen?
Go for it.
Okay. So I would say that Sister Compass is a spiritual and personal development community for women who are really ready to take off the masks, who are ready to step into their truth, who are ready to be deeply supported in the fullness of their humanity. For us, when we think about Sister Compass, it's really, we'd like to create ways for women to connect, grow, and heal together. And we do that through retreats. We do that through an online membership, Sisterhood. We do that through community pop-ups and collaborations, both online and in person, and through daily connection through our private app and our membership program. And I think that's just like a little snippet. We could go deeper.
Yes, and I would add that, the compass piece is important too, because we're really guiding women back to something, which is a remembrance of who they truly are and their own inner magic, which so many women have been conditioned out of. And so that piece is significant too. It's like a guidance system.
I love that. Oh, that's so beautiful. And I love your purpose and your mission. It's so beautiful to be able to, help women get back to, and like you said, Jen, the compass, like guiding them somewhere back to who they truly are. So thank you so much for being here and sharing what you do. I would love to learn a little bit more about your journey, though, because I think it's one that's been, one that's very interesting. The journey of how you came together and your journey to creating Sister Compass. Would you mind sharing that with us today?
Sure.
Would you like me to start? Do you want to
I'll go ahead and start first, and then because you kind of come in the intersection, right?
That's right. Yes.
I would say Sister Compass has really been born from a lifelong passion of mine, something that's been really like woven into my life since I was a child. I had a deep connection with the divine growing up. I felt a very personal relationship with the divine, with God, with Goddess, hearing angels. I also grew up in a big Italian family, one that was beautifully matriarchal, where my grandmothers and my aunts and my cousins, we created tons of spaces for connection. And there was just this sense of like sisterhood and fun and women coming together to like nurture and uplift each other. And I really think that was something that shaped me. And throughout my long journey of life, whether it was as I was like coming more and more into myself, moving through personal development, I've always had an interest in that. Whether I was working as a life coach or an end of life doula, I saw, or a birth doula, I saw firsthand how powerful it was when women came together in sacred space. Sorry. There's just something profoundly transformative about the collective healing when women are together, when we have a place to remove the masks and be real. And when I was living in New York City, I ran women's circles, women's brunch for about 13 years. And I just always knew that I was meant to create those spaces. And for a long time, I thought it would be through like a physical wellness center or something like that. And I was, moving through my life, getting married, having kids, still doing this kind of work here and there. And then I met Jen, and we started to talk, and I started to share with her this deeper calling to bring more and more women together that was still alive in me. And, she was really, she'll tell her portion of the journey, but she was basically like, well, then let's do it. Let's do it. Why aren't we doing it? Let's create this together. And from there, it began with just retreats. And then Sister Compass was kind of born from there as a space for women to step into the fullness of themselves and have that remembrance Jen was talking about and be held in sacred sisterhood. So that's kind of a snippet of how we got all the way to there, but it's really been running through my journey through my whole life as being a part of sacred women spaces, creating them, and then always being a part of the healing arts through my journey. So, Jen, do you want to add?
Yes. I always love telling the story because I feel like new things come through for me every time, but I never considered myself a healer, although I'm in medicine, which is interesting, but I never considered myself, like a spiritual or energetic healer until I started on my own personal development, my own personal growth path, and, met Tiffany as my coach. So this is a podcast about coaching and the growth that we get from coaching. So I think it's just a really beautiful intersection that we met through life coaching. And at the same time, I had begun a spiritual journey through the personal development work that I had been doing, and started to get really curious about spirituality and energy and angels. So started asking a lot of questions. And I just felt like this pulse from her. She doesn't have it on right now, but she has a compass necklace, and I just noticed that she wore it all the time. And I just was like, what is the significance of this necklace? And that's when I learned about this whole dream that she's had forever about creating a space for women. And I thought at the time, oh, I'm going to help her create her own course or something. I didn't think I was going to be involved, but I felt very strongly that what was in her needed to come out and be shared with the world, and that I wanted to help make that happen. And then we kind of just landed. We weren't like, let's create a business. She was bringing some women together to learn Reiki and invited me. And so I went, and while we were there, I was also learning about sister circles. And so we created one together for these women on this Reiki retreat, which I was also a student on. And it was born from there, because from there we went on to do Reiki level 2 and Reiki level 3, but through the lens of, femininity and divine feminine energy through these sister circles. And then all of a sudden we were in a business together, and it was, she had the name Sister Compass forever, that had been channeled by her. And it just felt very synchronistic. And again, I never saw myself as part of this, but I did know that I was going to help bring whatever it was in her out to the world. And I'm just so grateful to get to do it with her.
And it's been really cool because, she says, I never thought I would be a part of this, or, I've sort of come into that spiritual and personal development world a little bit later in my journey of life. But it's once we began working together, it was like this remembrance came online for her, as she's been doing this her whole life or many past lives. And it was like, it just synced right in. And then I realized, oh, that's the sister. That's the sister I needed to create Sister Compass in this way. So it was really very special.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that journey. Oh my goodness. How beautiful the two of you just came together, and you, Tiffany, realizing that the sister component of your name, your business name, was actually having a sister and finding Jen. So that's so beautiful. I love that story. And so, you mentioned, Jen, yes, this is a podcast about coaching. So what does this really have to do about coaching? And, you mentioned that you met through coaching. Tiffany was your coach. But you also do incorporate coaching elements into what you do, right? With your, with Sister Compass. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how that works? Because I'm fascinated around how you incorporate those elements into what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at Sister Compass, it's woven into pretty much everything that we do. We actually, in our private membership program, our private sisterhood program, we actually have Q&A mentorship calls. We have something called Sister School Teachings, where we're teaching the women in our community about personal and spiritual development. We have a private app that we work on where people can touch base day to day with us, where we offer community support and guidance that blends, again, both spiritual wisdom and practical personal development. I think the premise of what we do is to help women trust themselves, to trust their own intuition, to grow in their own empowerment, to move through life's transitions, and to uncover their own healing gifts. And I think that that coaching aspect helps to provide that structure and that support for the women that we work with to have deep transformation in our sisterhood.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would also say, at least for me, I think for both of us too, we're also students on this path. And one of the things that we really emphasize is that, we're not a hierarchical, community at all. Tiffany and I are, we're the guides, but we're certainly not, to be put on a pedestal. And I think even the form of a circle takes away any kind of hierarchical visual. And we just want to bring through what we know from our own experience, from our own knowledge, and from our own growth, and flow that to these women to empower them so that they can, remember who they are, and not from a place of needing us or needing, anybody outside of themselves to really to just know themselves and to love themselves deeply. So that's what we hope to guide women back to through the mentorship and the coaching that we do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how it's so incorporated into everything you do. And I love, how you're helping women, sort of find their way home back to themselves. Can I ask you, because I'm very curious about sort of the type of women that are, seek you out or find you. And you mentioned, transitions and things like that. So I'm just curious, for like your ideal client, like who is that person, and who is it that usually seeks you out and is looking for this sort of growth and change?
Hmm. Yeah. Jen, do you want to start that one, honey?
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great question.
Yep.
And for me, I really feel deeply that we want this to be available and relatable for all women. We don't want women to feel like, oh, I don't know about spirituality, or I don't know what Reiki is, so I don't belong. One of the biggest pieces that we want to bring to women, one of our tenets in Sister Compass, is belonging. And so we really try to emphasize that this is a space for all women, and you don't need to know, spirituality, don't need to know energy healing. We will bring you in, we will teach you, you will be immediately loved and supported and welcomed in our community. So we do have women that have been on a personal or spiritual journey for a while, and we have women that haven't, and just happen to find us, through word of mouth, or maybe somebody that Tiffany knows or I know from a while back. And I really love that. I really love having, women in all spaces on the spectrum, and really want to create that open space for women of any kind of women to just feel supported and welcomed
Yeah,
in that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And, I think one of the themes that we find across the board for the women who come into our space, and when we really started to create this as a business, we did some market research and what are women looking for? What do they really want? And one of the number one things was that belonging, was a community of like-minded people, but not only a community of like-minded people, a place where they could feel free to be their authentic self in the fullness of their humanity, not have to hide and break off certain pieces of themselves, but to really be real. That was the word we would hear a lot. Like, I wanted just somewhere where we could be real and talk about the real things, and be supported in that, celebrated, supported, places where they can celebrate, where there's this trust. And so it really does run the gamut. It's really just any woman who really feels that that longing to connect to others, but also another one of our tenants, Jen mentioned belonging. Another one we have 3 tenants. It's be you, belong, and be magic. And be you is really about rediscovering your true self, embracing your self-worth and your self-love, which is another kind of theme across the board for people in general, but we're specifically talking about women, and cultivating this sense of self-love or this sense of authenticity. So people sort of longing for that, longing to kind of discover themselves and then be magic is the empowerment piece, where you are tapping into your unique gifts, your unique brilliances, your sacred gifts, the mysteries of the universe, your innate powers and strength as a woman. So again, we have all different types of women, as Jen was saying, but this is sort of the themes that we're seeing where women come in to really just grow and be held.
Well, I love
Yeah,
that. Oh, go
sorry, I
ahead.
just wanted to add because I forgot about that market research piece that Tiffany mentioned, and it was so valuable and so eye-opening because we got to see from a wide breadth of women
Yeah.
where the pain points are. And a lot of women, like Tiffany was saying, just wanted a place to belong and be authentic, but also a lot of women just didn't know they wanted something more, but didn't know what, right? Didn't
Right.
know how, didn't know, um, needed almost like a guide. And so that was really powerful to understand as well, that women are seeking something, but they don't always know what. And that's a part of the gap that we can help bridge.
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your tenets, because I love that be you, belong, be magic. I love that. I want it, it's so, you're right. It's so often that women do have the sense of there's something that's missing, right? They know that there's something that there should be more of something, whatever that might be, and they don't. You're right, like you said, they don't always know what that is. But to be able to have that safe space, a place where they can be authentically themselves and belong to a community like that, how just how like magical and amazing a place and a space for women to have. So I love what you're creating, what you have created for women to be able to come together, to be themselves and help them, guide them back to themselves, because oftentimes, like you said, they come with a mask. They're not truly who they authentically are because of
Con-
society
Right.
expectations, right?
Conditioning, yep, all sorts of things. Yep.
All those things, and not really knowing what it is that they actually truly desire, because they've been living a life of meeting up to other people's expectations.
Yeah,
So being able to
absolutely.
yeah, so being able to free them of those expectations and allowing them a space where they can be themselves, that's so beautiful. So thank you for creating this space for these women. I just love it. It's so amazing. So yeah, would you mind sharing with us specifically maybe more of the things of what you actually offer, what it is that you do and provide, and how you provide this for women?
Yes, absolutely. I'll start with where we started, which is in Reiki retreats. And one of the things that we always like to clarify is that we Reiki's a beautiful healing energy that's really just life force energy that we're channeling through us. And we use Reiki as a modality to give women something tangible to remember their inner magic. We talk a lot about the inner magic, the inner empowerment. And Reiki is just a beautiful and an easy way, an easy skill to learn. So women can feel their own magic and they can see how they can heal themselves with this energy and they can heal their loved ones and they can just bring this loving frequency to so many spaces in their life. And so we don't necessarily hold these retreats for people that want to come learn Reiki and then go be Reiki practitioners, although they can. We do it through a divine feminine lens, meaning that we do it as, like I just said, as a way to bring them home to their inner magic. And so we have retreats. We've done them internationally. We've done them, here in the United States. There's 3 levels of Reiki that we teach: Reiki level 1, 2, and 3, which is master's level. And it's really just a sanctuary for women to come in person together, to get away from their chaotic everyday life and to feel what it's like to be together in person, in circle, in ceremony, which is completely different than online, and to be able to do hands-on healing together, to be able to do meditation, that we bring through ceremony, embodiment practices, yoga, just being together as a unit in a container for, 5, 6, 7 days, just creates such a bond and really, really brings you deep into that remembrance of sisterhood. So that's one of the things that we try to offer at least once a year. And Tiff, I'll let you add to that if you want, and talk about
Sure.
more magic as well.
Sure. Yeah. I love that so much. So that is one way, is through these retreats, or also doing sometimes pop-ups, whether they're in communities in person or online collaborations. But one of the other biggest pieces that we offer is our membership, which is our Sacred Sisterhood. It's an online membership. And we meet 4 times a month. And when we meet, well, I'll just say this: we meet 4 times a month, and then we also have a private app where we're able to keep in touch on a daily basis. And that private app has all different channels, whether it's you're requesting healing for a sick child or parent or yourself, or whether it's asking questions, or where it houses our replays for some of the teachings that we do. So it's really a beautiful space where Jen and I are mentors and guides in there, but also the sisters are really in there supporting each other as well. So that's pretty cool. And then when we meet, we have, we do a couple of specific things. We do sacred ceremony, which I might go into a little bit, just to explain what that is a little bit. And then we do something called Full Moon Spotlight, where there's a space for women in our community to share their gifts and to share their experiences. So if they wanted to lead a meditation, let's say, or a yoga flow or something like that, where we spotlight different sisters, or it's a place where they can just simply connect in deep sisterhood. I spoke before, we have the Q&A mentorship sessions. We have Sister School, which is where we're teaching on spiritual and personal development topics, helping women to expand their wisdom and power. And we have embodiment practices, particularly breath work is something that we work with on a regular basis as well within our More Magic membership. And then I'll just touch quickly on sacred ceremony and sister circle. We've been using those words a lot on this, and people might not know what that means. And, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's actually very beautiful. A sister circle is where women gather in a sacred space where, like Jen was talking about, there's no hierarchy. We are in a circle because there's no hierarchy. There's only deep witnessing, support, and connection. In a circle, no one is above and below. And we believe and feel that each woman brings her own, we use the word medicine, but what we mean by that is her unique energy, her unique gifts, her unique wisdom to the space. The essence of who she is. We believe we all carry our own essence and frequency, and we call that medicine for each other. And a sacred ceremony is very similar to the circle, but it's a space where it's a more reverent and we really gather to honor the sacred, whether that's within ourselves, whether that's within the spiritual development aspect of our program. And it's not religious, by the way, it's spiritual. All this is not a religion in any way, shape, or form. This is just spirituality, your own personal relationship to the divine or to the earth or to the universe, whatever that is for you. The ceremonies really bring us into a frequency that I guess that transforms. This is truly a frequential medicine that happens inside of ceremony, and they often incorporate things like meditation, guided journeys, energy healings, intention setting, journaling, and it's really a deep, deep sacred way, reverent way for women to align with themselves, their inner wisdom, and life. Jen, is that a good way? Is there anything you want to add to that?
To the ceremony piece, or
Or just ceremony or
yeah,
something.
it is
Hard to
a little bit
explain.
hard to put in words and until
Yeah.
you experience it, and then you're just like, whoa. But
Yeah.
it's a technology that's created when women are in a circle like that and creating a coherence a coherence with each other, that really just, it almost creates like this vortex of energy. And yes, every woman's fingerprint kind of goes in. We call it like the cauldron. It's like almost like a cauldron in the middle that's holding this medicine that each woman in that circle is bringing. And it's really powerful. It bypasses the cognitive mind.
Yeah.
And you know what these women are doing, like, there's no specific goal to any of this except to live a more joyful, purposeful life, because you're becoming more of who you are, and
Yes.
becoming more conscious, and just becoming just more authentic. And that's the whole purpose for all of this, for everything that we do. And we love to use all of these different modalities as ways to do that. And it's also, it's just joyful just doing it. It's not really for any specific goal except to be joyful and to give back and to serve, and just, yeah. So that's what I wanted to add. And I also wanted to add, we say this all the time. We talk about the divine feminine a lot, and part of what we're doing is bringing the divine feminine energy, which is an energy, into balance with the divine masculine. And we never want people to think that we are against the masculine, or anything like that. So we always want to caveat the work that we do in this divine feminine space with the understanding that we're doing this and to bring the energy and balance,
Integration.
to integrate with the masculine, which is just part of how we become whole here.
I
Mm.
love that so much. I just want to add one thing to sacred ceremony that you were talking about. Amanda, most often when women are in sacred ceremony with us, what we hear, they are brought to tears. And what we most often hear is, I feel home. And where it's really just this deep inner gnosis that you are home, that you are your authentic self. That's what Jen was talking about. And being in alignment with that authenticity within you, we believe, is one of the highest vibrations that you can be.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And thank you for explaining all of that, because you were mentioning sort of the sacred
Yeah.
ceremony, and I was like, I should ask, for you to explain what that is. So thank you for, doing that on your own and explaining that to everybody, because yes, it's helpful for listeners who might not know what
Yeah.
that is, right? To be able to explain that in a way that, and I love what you said about it, the feminine, divine feminine, and the balance with the divine masculine, because yes, it's not exclusive, it's all inclusive. So that's so beautiful. And thank you again for sharing all of that information. So beautiful and so amazing what you're doing with your community. So thank you. And I did want to start wrapping up because we've had a really great conversation, and
Yes.
and it is, coming time to close. But I wanted to find out, was there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience? Anything, last thoughts that you have that you'd like to share?
Mm. We feel like one of the big messages that's coming through from, the divine feminine energy right now is that, the divine feminine is here, and it's time, and we're I feel like we're at a really potent coordinate point right now for women who are feeling called to this work to step into it, to say yes, even if they're not unsure or afraid, because the earth is changing. We're waking up, consciousness is being raised, and being a part of this is just incredibly special. And so if any women out there that are listening are feeling curious or feeling pulled to this, even if you're not sure why, we invite you to, reach out to us. And just kind of follow those breadcrumbs. I also wanted to mention we do have an upcoming beginners Reiki Level 1 retreat happening in the fall. The dates for that will be announced soon, but we do have an opportunity for somebody who's new to this that may want to work with us to come on a retreat with us in the fall. Tiff.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just wanted to thank you so much, Amanda, for giving us this opportunity and space to come and talk with you and share this. And mine was going to be the same. Like there's nothing that has to be special about you to come and do this work. We are here. We want you. We're welcoming with open arms anybody who feels called or curious. That means you belong. And so I just wanted to share that as well. And Amanda, if where they can find or follow us at some point would be great.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to ask you to send me your links or whatever it is that you have for people to find you. That will be in the show notes for people to be able to find so they can locate
Wonderful.
you and
Thank
check
you.
it out. Yeah, of course.
Great.
All right.
This was amazing, and I also wanted to thank you too for the opportunity to talk with you, to talk with the listeners. We love being able to share our voice and spread our message and our mission. So, just deep thank you to you for inviting us.
Oh, yes, and go ahead.
I was going to say, and thank you for all you do in the world. You're doing all this too.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to have more and more people come together in this kind of space and just keep expanding and spreading our light.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much. And thank you both for being on with me today. It's been a pleasure. So beautiful what you're doing. And I'm so glad to be able to share this with my listeners and, have them check you out if that's something that they feel called to. So thank you again. I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.